Welcome to some more Driver Part 9, and in this part, it's time to go cheating with the in-game cheat codes, not like Part 7, where I used a Game Shark for that, but the in-game cheats. There are a total of 6 cheats, and I'm going to go through each and every one of them to show you off, one at a time. First off, we're going to start with, of course, the self-explanatory Invincibility. So for this, we're just going to go to take a ride, and let's just use Miami, because I'm quite familiar with Miami in general. Okay, now after the last part where I was still on the 1x overclocking, I put it back to the 4x because I'm not gonna lie, I think it handles a little better once it's up there that high, because cars felt like too responsive and kind of turned too hard, and that's I think why I was having such an issue. It felt like on 4x it just feels more refined, it feels easier. Again, maybe it's not quite the same once you use an actual console, which I probably should have done, but well, no big deal really. So, Invincibility has a pretty simple premise. Your car cannot take any form of damage whatsoever. In fact, even greater than that of the no damage code I used in Part 7, to the point where the car doesn't even physically take damage. There's no deformed body parts. There's no, not even a damage bar. So, I can boss around the cops as much as I want and have no regrets doing so. So yeah, that's Invincibility. So let's go look at the next cheat, Immunity. Immunity again is pretty simple. If you notice now, the felony bar is also missing. I didn't turn off the Invincibility code. So basically, Immunity makes it so that the police doesn't give two shits about what you're doing. They could care less. You could be as much of a maniacal maniac as you want. And this kind of is where you can have the most fun with the game, just kind of generally driving around being a complete dick. Like, you can just kind of boss the police around and there's nothing they'll do about it. So, I can just disable the cops all I want and nothing will come out of it. So yeah, this is pretty much drive like an asshole mode, basically, once you have these two codes enabled. So yeah, simple. Anyways, next code. Now, the next code is a code simply called rear wheel, which has a pretty simple premise. Instead of the front wheels controlling your car, it's the rear wheels that are controlling your car. Which means you gotta be a little bit more careful because the car now has a huger tendency to kind of slide around and generally just be more difficult to get the hang of. It's a silly code. But hey, if for some reason you like to try to give yourself a little bit more of a challenge, you can use the rear wheel code. I don't really plan to use it much because I don't really care much for it. I mean, yes, it's a silly, fun code and that it serves its purpose, but honestly, I'd rather be able to have more control over it. Hence why, again, I went back to the 4x overclocking because it seems to work a little better. So maybe it's the widescreen because it can spawn more easily that makes them appear. I don't know. For the whole President's Run, I have no clue, but yeah, what happened. I'm not gonna dwell on it. Anyways, on to the next code. Minis. This is the next code, and yeah, its premise is extremely simple. Every car is now really small. But is it just me, or does it feel like these cars actually go faster? It honestly does. Like, it feels like the cars actually go quicker. It's a bit strange, but it definitely does feel that way. Maybe they do, or maybe it could just be the size perspective, which wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. So, but yeah, if for any particular reason you kind of like driving in Micro Machines mode or Hot Wheels, then here you go. This is the code for you. Pretty much got its. It's a more fun thing. I kind of like doing this every now and then because it's not just the fact that the cars are also many. It's also the fact that the damage modeling, while it's obviously not perfect, kind of shares the same kind of characteristics as a regular car. So I'm sure it may have been nice if it wasn't the case, but I think it adds more to the amusement. So anyways, next code. So the next code is a code simply called Stilts, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It raises the body of your car, and apparently only just your car only. So you're basically driving a monster car of the same vehicle. But as it seems to be, it's kind of easy to flip, so yeah, you'd have to be kind of careful with this one. One more cheat. And finally, we have Antipodean, as it's called, or as I like to just call it, Australia. Basically, the whole game is flip turn upside down, so yeah. So if you think you know everything for this one, get used to trying to play this game like this. Yeah, it's very disorienting to me to play it upside down like this, but hey, there you go. If for any particular reason you wanted to play the game this way, you can do just that. Now, we could just finish up and say we've looked through all the codes, but there's one last thing I'm gonna do. Now, you may remember when I did the survival mode, I was basically getting my ass handed to me because I wasn't very good at it. This time around, we're gonna play a little bit more interesting. This is now that you can't, unfortunately, you can't do this with the regular invincibility code in the game, because in the driving games it's disabled and turned off automatically. But with the use of Game Shark, we can basically give the car as much damage as we want, and it won't damage it out. Again, a lot of the reason, the only real reason I'm kind of doing this is to show off not just that, but also another Game Shark code where if you end up flipping, you can press L1 and R1 to kind of try to reset your vehicle and get it fixed and put it back on its wheels. It doesn't always work out well. You may have to do it a few times, but you know, it's a way to keep yourself going if, say, this happens. Of course, though, again, you gotta kind of be careful with it, cause see, yeah, takes a few times in most cases. But doing it here in San Francisco makes it a lot more entertaining because, well, crazy stuff. Now, there would be one other code I try to show off, which is a nitrous boost code. And even though I've been constantly hitting the correct button combination to get it working, I'm just simply not able to get it working. Oh, hey, look at that. I managed to actually lose the cops in survival. I don't quite think that's supposed to happen. But then again, it's mostly because I went outside of the map. But yeah, I think the combination is supposed to be like L1 and X. But no matter how many times I press that combination, it doesn't work. So, I don't know. But yeah, basically, if you want to use Game Shark and kind of just go crazy in survival and just have all this insane maniacal stuff, you can do just that. Well, that cop was a complete idiot. But yeah. Anyways, that's gonna do it for the cheats mode. But there's one other code I'm going to show off, but that's gonna get its own little small dedicated part. And then there's gonna be another bonus part, which you may have not even expected I'd even get to show off, but I am going to regardless. So anyway, stay tuned for that. And as always, as usual, you can follow me at HGCentralYT on Twitter. You can join my forums at hgcentral.freeforums.net. You can donate to my Patreon. It's not required, but I appreciate it if you decide to. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and take care.